Sony had a really awesome year in 2018, releasing incredible games like God of War, Spider-Man, and Shadow of the Colossus. They also released Detroit Become Human. 2019 will be a big year for Sony, with so many great games on the horizon, from Ghost of Tsushima to Death Stranding, whatever that really is. Like every Sony game though, they won't be at E3, but they may be at a PS5 reveal? Is now the time? Join us as we discuss everything PlayStation in 2019 and beyond.
You can always tweak the rules a bit.
Hello everyone and welcome to another very optional video. I'm your host Mitch, and joining me is the one person who's surprisingly faster than Sonic, Russell.
2019 has begun.
2019 has begun, and joining him is Jordan. Didn't have an intro, didn't think he'd be on here today, so sup.
Sup.
Sup. So, you know, it's a new year, it's a new world, new everything. So, since it's a new year, I want to have a chat about PlayStation in this year and what we can expect, what we're excited for, going off what we know. So sadly, don't expect us to discuss Bloodborne 2 or everyone's most anticipated game, Knack 3. So, kind of start off this discussion, I want to talk about the thing Sony revealed last year, which was E3. They're not going to E3. They're not into it. Like, that's an interesting thing. It raises a lot of questions. What do we think about this?
They're going to start up E4. The new year?
E4. E4.
The next level.
Yeah, so...
but yeah, it's very interesting off the cuff because it's been something they've been a part of forever.
Yep.
And one that steadily has become a massive commitment from them, like the booth space and their E3, like, you know, streaming event and whatnot, like conference. It's those pieces together are gone, which in itself is very intriguing for why Sony is going to do that, because that basically leaves Microsoft its main competitor. Honestly, Nintendo, yeah, it's a competitor, but I don't think even Sony looks at this as a real competitor. It's more like a gateway drug to Sony.
They'll get there eventually.
But Microsoft suddenly has everything if they want. They could grab all the third parties. Every single one that Sony would have had, well, now could be at Microsoft. So it's funny how, like, by Sony pulling out, it's potentially made a massive deal for Microsoft, because now they can absolutely own that event.
100%.
And then the question is, what is Sony doing in the sense of, like, is
their own
they
event?
Got another big event planned? You know, they cancelled the PlayStation Experience this year. Next year, is that the same thing, or are they preparing for what?
Like, I don't know. My thinking is they pull out of everything else, make their own big show. What's the biggest thing they can show off? And that's the PlayStation 5. Like,
next console.
It won't be out this year. Like all the
Bloodborne
people saying it's out this
the
year.
biggest thing that they can show off, but we'll let that slide.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you think?
But it's one of those things where it's also the negative response that Sony is getting, where it's like, oh, you're showing Last of Us again, you're showing Ghost of Tsushima again, like games that are surely going to be excellent,
very good games,
but people still have, like, as we kind of know, it's like it's all about the hype and anticipation when it comes to these events. And even as good as those games look, people go, oh, really, that game again? I want to see, you know, something new, a new game that's exciting, not just something that I've known about already. And I think Sony's ready into that and going, maybe all we have left for this current gen is stuff people know about. Death Stranding, maybe Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima this gen, who knows?
It is true. I don't think there's anything new coming out.
So they're like, well, let's not waste probably millions on these
setting up a weird church
and
and all sorts of shit. That was very weird last year.
Jesus, all that kind of weird stuff. Just simplify it. We people know we have these great games. We'll show them when they're ready or closer to their expected point.
Yeah,
and as you said, there's probably a PS5 getting announced next year. Maybe not, but it seems like it's certainly set up to be next year. Is that year?
I have a feeling it will be. So, Jordan, do you think we'll see the PS5 next year? Do you think that will be seen? Tim, you just jumped on the PlayStation 4 bandwagon. You excited for the next one?
Yeah, it's sort of like I only just got a PlayStation 4 like a year ago, so getting a PlayStation 5,
gotta move on, damn it.
I would really want them not to do it straight away. But
move with the times.
Yep, got to move with the times.
Personally,
I'd just rather just stick with the PlayStation 4 forever, but I know that's
forever and ever.
Going to bring out something different.
Yeah.
Well, I suspect PS5 is going to, at this point with Xbox and the rest of it, like, backwards compatibility has got to be a part of these consoles.
Has to be.
So PS5, I'd be so surprised if they go, you know what, it's only playing the newest games and we're re-releasing all of them again. You're getting God of War remastered and all this kind of shit.
more money.
I suspect no. It'll be backwards compatible. It'll be true 4K, and I expect VR is going to be a big part of it, where they'll most likely integrate into
we
this
just had the
hardware.
PlayStation Classic. It didn't sell well. Let's make a PlayStation 5 that has a Classic built in with the games you want.
Wouldn't that be lovely? Just backwards compatibility like the PS3 had.
It should just be a
Sony.
standard thing.
Should be a
It
standard
should
thing,
just be a
but
standard thing.
that's not. There's going to be a lot of good things about the PS5. I think the games will look better than ever. Obviously, it's a new console. The hardware will be more powerful. It'll just be interesting how Xbox responds. But for the most part, I want to talk about PS5 is kind of we don't know. It could be, it could not be. But what we do know is a bunch of games that are coming out in the foreseeable future, which only one of them has a release date, and that's Days Gone. That was coming out on that fateful day where it had to fight Anthem and Metro Exodus, but everything's escaped Anthem now because apparently they think it'll be really good. But I'm interested to see how that goes.
I don't know if it's really good so much as they expect it will sell really well.
It will sell well.
The main thing people are buying at that time.
So my real question is, everything we've seen about Days Gone is, I don't know if it's necessarily, it's got a lot of competition now in after Red Dead 2, open world games may feel lacking in detail, lacking in a lot of things after it. Do we think Days Gone will be good? What do you think about Days Gone, Jordan? Do you even know what Days Gone is?
I know it's a zombie game that
with bikes.
Looks a bit like Left 4 Dead, but
I think you'll find they're not zombies; they're freakers.
They're freakers. The Z word is an offensive term. We don't call them zombies.
It's interesting how everything needs their own word for the same thing. It's just zombies, man.
They're zombies. It's not even copyright. They could actually use the term zombies, but it's an open world biker game with zombies. Do we think this game will be a real good seller that Sony probably hopes it'll be? I'm unsure. What do you think about that?
It's not co-op, is it? It's just
not
single
co-op. No, it's fully single player. So, Russell, what do you think about Days Gone?
That instantly turns me off because you want that
Left 4
Dead
turns me off.
vibe.
Someone interrupts me trying to segue to other people.
Answering your question, Mitchell, it's I think it has a chance of greatness where everything I've seen, I just feel like it's got that potential to it. I've said this before, but it's one of those games where it's nothing's convinced me it's going to be excellent, but everything's convinced me that it has the potential to be excellent. And it's like if this is all implemented correctly and it just flows really well together, then I think it could be as good as Horizon was. But there's so many buts in there where it's okay, how well does it play? How good is the story? How good are the characters? Sons of Anarchy fused with The Walking Dead, that combination. It's basically Daryl from that show to begin with.
It is pretty much that. And that's why we're excited for it.
Yeah, that combination. It's got all these interesting aspects, the season aspect, the fact that you've got a bike and that bike is what you're riding. It's as important to that character as Epona is to Link. It has that kind of relationship, and those aspects together, it's I think it could be really good, and I wouldn't be surprised if, regardless, it probably will sell okay just because of the numbers, the install base Sony has. But will it be able to hit that same level that Sony's just been on a roll recently with God of War, Horizon, or Detroit Become Human? These games that just seem to the best iterations for a lot of these series or developers.
Yeah.
And it's curious to see if that's the case, because Sony Bend, it's they've been restricted by having to work on so many other companies' games, IPs, and this is their brand new IP. This is their chance to make something, and I hope it's excellent. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I hope so. It's just funny when you're talking about Epona to Link. When I played Ocarina of Time, I didn't get Epona. I just rolled my way around the map, just as Link does. But yeah, it is a cool concept, and animals being kind of really scary, hunting you down as well. It could be an incredible game, but I'm more certain about this game than I am about how people are going to react to Dreams. I think Dreams might be a tricky one for people to... I don't know how well it's going to sell. I do think the opportunity with this game is... what you can make with it is pretty remarkable. I don't know how many... if it's going to sell well, but I reckon you're going to see some really incredible things coming out of Dreams. Yeah, so... What do you guys think?
Definitely, the creative community of, YouTube and whatnot, that aspect, I think, is really going to push Dreams forward and is going to be accessed based on that. I think it's going to be ridiculously difficult for Sony to advertise it and sell it. I think the way they will sell it was by showcasing it on YouTube and showing what people can build in it.
Word of mouth
I think
kind of
through
thing.
word of mouth and that kind of thing, it will become something big. But it really depends on the creators. Like, if the creators don't come, that game is not going to be a success. It's going to bomb. But from everything I've seen, the tools are limitless, it seems like. It seems like it's just massive. Like, it's got everything you can do in it. And people are going to link because of that, I'm sure.
Yeah, as a YouTube channel, it's pretty exciting, the things we could do with it. Like, could make little short movies and things, make all sorts of little, nifty things that we could use for videos and all sorts of things. So I think for us, it's pretty useful. Like, whether, beforehand, when I first saw Dreams, it's like, maybe I'll get it. I don't really know. John, what do you think about Dreams? You like creating stuff? You like building houses in Fallout 76 as we speak for some reason?
What? I'm in a daze. I was in a daydream. Sorry. Yeah.
I get it. But what do you think about Dreams, the game?
I honestly haven't looked too much into it, but from what it sounds like, if it's creative, that's definitely what I do best. Just building.
I think for you'll actually find... I don't know, it's like either you'll really love it, or you'll find it too complex and not bother, which I think is the major problem with this game. Is that
the biggest issue I always have with games is there's too low of a budget for what you want to build, or not enough stuff to build.
I don't think you're going to find it with Dreams.
That'd be good.
Yeah, Dream seems like it's going to be the opposite problem, where it's going to be too complex. I think that might be its biggest problem, is that for a lot of people, it just will be too much for them. It's like, I can't work it out. But when they talk about like sharing creativity between users,
like assets
you can
and all
build this
sorts
and
of
then
things.
take it from someone else and import like just audio from things and all this kind of things. Like, it also seems like it's going to be a copyright like a nightmare, because people are just going to probably be importing like movie dialogue and music and all kinds of shit. So like that might be a massive problem for them. Possibly.
Depends what they built in to keep that stuff out. Like, if you even can. Because there will be people who remake like Titanic and other things. I don't know why Titanic was the first movie I thought of, but
No.
Get on the door.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Dreams has potential. Pretty excited. We don't know when this one's coming out. We assume this year, but Dreams is.
I think at this point, I think very likely they just went into beta last year.
Yeah. And as we know these days, beta doesn't mean shit. Beta is just like
not really.
see how the engagement is right before it comes out. So I think
beta is now early access.
For some games, it definitely is. At least in Dream's case, it seems legitimately like a beta. Like, it's going to be a while before it comes out. Yeah. But I'd say very likely this year.
Yeah, I reckon late this year is when I would say it comes out.
Probably, yeah.
And I think that will come out after the remake of Medieval, which, we cover Medieval a lot on this channel. We've done did a big retrospective, done medleys and all sorts of things, talked about the trailer. It's pretty high up there for us, I guess. Like, for some of us who haven't played it, like, I played a bit of it, but I'm more excited to play the remake, because I think it'll be a better version of that game. Russell, as the person who's played the most, like, when do you think it's coming out? We've already had this discussion, but are we any further with when we think?
It's likely to be later in the year, probably closer to Halloween again, somewhere along that lines, I would suspect.
It's a good day
but
the
funny thing is, since we last talked about Medieval, it was talking about like, what we saw. It's like, it seems like it's a almost more arcadey version of the game, where it's like it visually looks good, but it feels like maybe they've tried to make it more just like easy to pick up and play. But funny, since then though, Crash Team Racing was announced, and I expect that game will sell really well. There's a lot of hype behind it, and I wonder if Medieval will almost get like overshadowed by that game coming into this year.
Yeah,
where it's like that game coming out, it's like Medieval. Medieval was always that game where. I think a lot of people know of it. They've seen the cover, they remember it, but I don't know how many people actually played it. Where like Crash and Spyro, like they were games people played on the PlayStation. Where I think Medieval was like definitely like for a lot of people they overlooked it, and I hope it people pick it up, sells well, and then maybe we get the sequel that we always wanted. I mean, I really feel like it's a shame that unless they're hiding it, that the sequel, the second game, is not in this.
I don't think it is. They would have mentioned it because like more.
Yeah,
like increases the value of the product you're getting. So you think like, it's got Medieval too. I think it's definitely the first one only, which good and bad, I guess. Like if people,
you got to start somewhere if you haven't played it before, and why not start at one and really enjoy it, get you into the games and go back into the old ones.
Yeah, it's true. It does. If there was only a way to play the other games on the system this is releasing on, because. You can't play Medieval 2, you can't play Resurrection. So it's basically the only Medieval game you're getting. I'm very excited to actually play this. I tried it like maybe a few months ago, and the graphics haven't aged that well. I think the gameplay for me is it's very different. There's not a game like Medieval these days. Not really.
Yeah, it definitely stands out from other games, and I think it will stand out when it gets released. But I doubt there's anywhere near the anticipation as opposed to like Crash Team Racing, where I feel like that there's always like a game in a year that seems like that's a remake of something, and I feel like Crash Team Racing is going to take the cake next year.
Yeah.
But I think it still could do well, and at the very least, I hope what I'm seeing visually, the arcadey style, is just an improvement to match today's gameplay. It's not like changing the feeling of it like Resurrection kind of did. I hope it's cuts to what the original game was.
Yeah. It's like Crash Team Racing, like that's another thing. I only played a bit of it, but any more kart races is good news. So, speaking of a game that's got nothing to do with kart races.
Just quickly, I never had Crash Team Racing, but I had the demo of it, and every chance I would, I'd play it. Well, I had like it on a demo disc.
Yeah.
It was only like one match, and it's like, I really want to play this game. And
you never got around to getting it?
I never ended up buying the game. I just had the demo disc.
That's true.
Well, you got a chance in the remake, Jordan. It can all come full circle.
Yeah, everything all returned. I love kart races. I love Mario Kart, and more kart races are great news. So, yeah, as I was saying, we're going to talk about a game that's got nothing to do with kart races, but a lot to do with a lot of things. Because Death Stranding is a game that is very Kojima in that it's ridiculous. We don't really truly understand it. Only he knows. But do we think this is going to be a 2019 game? I know there's been this Year of the Whale thing, which isn't actually a part of the Chinese calendar, but it's sort of a hint that 2019 may release Death Stranding, which has been developed extremely fast. It's like, holy shit.
There's a lot of Japanese developers hinting at things that are coming this year, and Kojima was basically heavily implying that Death Stranding's coming this year. But regardless of that hint, it's like, out of all the games on the horizon that, like, you know, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us, that kind of thing, it's like Death Stranding's the one I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's this year. Like, it feels like it's going to be that bridge between generations. And especially when they always talk about, like, it's coming along so quickly, all the rest of it, it just feels like, yeah, Death Stranding's probably this year. And my excitement couldn't be higher. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I know it's going to be an experience I won't forget. Like, Kojima has made games continually that are impressive and often break like typical like game design and like do something special or unique, and Death Stranding really feels like it's going to be, you know, Kojima unleashed and make something that I don't think will easily be forgotten, even if maybe mechanically it's got weird stuff in it that people aren't happy about. But I've the ambition that is in that game and just the weirdness and like not knowing what it is, I think just adds to the appeal.
Yeah,
just, at least for me. A lot of people I'm sure are like, I don't know what it is, I don't want it. Where to me, I'm like, no, that's why I want it. I want something different. I want to be surprised. And I hope nothing more is shown. They just go, here's the release date and here's the game. And like at this point, that's what I'd be happy with.
That kind of might be a bit secretive. I haven't really played any Kojima games in the past. Not really, like, didn't have a PS1, didn't have a PS2. So it's just like, seeing this is really, it looks completely bonkers, but it looks like a game that'll be terrifying, but also, like, really out there. Like, there's no other game like Death Stranding that's, like, no one else has thought of this. There's only Kojima going, like, yeah, there's all kinds of, like, underwater things. There's these black tendrils on everything. There's babies. That's absolutely nuts. What do you make of Death Stranding, Jordan? Like, I think you watched all the Metal Gear games. You didn't actually play them.
So I've got 5, haven't played it. I've watched 1, 2, 3, and 4 as someone else playing it and thought they were good, but it was never really my type of game. This one, if you're into walking, this is the ultimate walk simulator with monsters.
Most games you walk around in most horror games, you walk around and there's monsters. I think.
Have you ever wanted to be a delivery person, climbing mountains, fighting monsters? Then this is the game for you.
Sounds pretty awesome. Like that's all delivery people do. They go around delivering packages and fighting monsters. Everyone knows that.
And as a simplistic way to look at it, it's like, yeah, from what we've seen, you could imply it's something of that nature. But it's the weirdness and the depth of which Kojima like tries to explore an idea that makes me know it's going to be much more than that. Like,
I'm definitely expecting lots of twists in it. Let's just hope it's not a Night Shyamalan twist or anything like that.
Oh, he'll take him Night Shyamalan. He'll outdo anything you could come up with. I think if one thing's for certain, Metal Gear Solid 5 plays extremely well. everything he's learnt from that is coming into Death Stranding. So whatever that means, they've clearly shown off guns and stuff. So I do think it will play pretty well. I don't think that'll be the main element, though. I think most of it, you will be wandering around this environment, being chased by invisible things. They're going to kill you the moment they find you. It's going to be incredibly tense.
Let's hope you can save it anytime you want, or there's checkpoints or something. Because imagine going up your
modern game
mountain.
design that's just pretty much a given. Like there isn't many games that go the way other than like Dark Souls to make you like not get a checkpoint. Like everything's got checkpoints.
Well, this has a Dark Souls element allegedly. Another world where you respawn. I don't know everything I've heard about it. But yeah, Death Stranding looks incredible. 2019, that'll be a great game of the year. 2019, it is possible. So yeah, well, it's a bit weird. But I love how weird it is. So, I'm now going to talk about a game that I really don't think is coming out this year because it's Ghost of Tsushima, which they showed off at E3 last year, and that game just looks so good. It looks like the ultimate samurai game. And just like how the environment looks, how the gameplay looks like. Sucker Punch have absolutely nailed it in every single way, I think. What do you think about that, Russell?
We're talking about Sekiro, right?
No, we're not. Sekiro is coming out in March, so you'll have...
Are we talking about Neo?
Neo? You mean Neo? Neo 2.
Neo, yeah.
Or whatever it is.
It's not.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mention it because, like, Sekiro is, like, to me, it's like that. I know it's going to be gameplay and, like, ridiculous bosses, where Ghost of Tsushima is gone for realism. Like, realism is the focus. So it's like, it's one-hit kills, like, with a sword, like, all this kind of stuff, as opposed to, like, crazy grappling looks like Sekiro stuff.
Fun
like,
bosses.
Mechanically, I know that Sekiro is going to be amazing. Where Ghost of Tsushima... it's like that's to me is the bit I'm the most unsure of. It's like, okay, how good is the gameplay going to be in this? Because visually it's freaking amazing. It looks ridiculous. To the point of like I don't think it's a this gen game. Like I'm pretty sure it's PS5 because it just looks.
For
too
me,
good.
as long as there's not QuickTime events, I'll be fine.
No, QuickTime events are dead and buried. Don't worry about them.
Well, I mean, Spider-Man had them. Like QuickTime events still show up here and there.
That's true. It rose out of the grave for a bit, but I think that worked for Spider-Man. I don't see that happening for this game. Oop.
Yeah, but it just feels like the Japanese cinema influences are so strong in this, and I feel like it hasn't been done. Like I feel like everyone for ages has wanted Assassin's Creed to do it, and they never did, and now they've beaten them to it. So now, like, if Assassin's Creed wanted to take in like this period,
compared to
this
Tsushima.
area. Yeah, it's going to be compared. Unless Ubisoft secretly has been doing it and actually going to beat Ghost of Tsushima to it. But it doesn't seem likely. But regardless, everything I've seen...
Game based in Japan this year, it's just like, calm down.
Yeah, it's like the fact, well, what they showed was apparently a side mission. I'm like, what? Like... Oh my god! It just looks too. It looks too good. Like that's what so many games now are like that. It's like it just looks ridiculous.
It's like what's
the leads, the fire, the fights.
Yeah, like is this just a cinematic? Are they actually showing gameplay? Just like no, this is possible now. We can actually get games that look this good, and it's like it's incredible that in like even our lifetime, like games have gone from like pixelated mess to like this. Like it's pretty damn good to see how games are evolving and like like Sekiro gonna be great. Tsushima, probably going to be great. Yeah, it's a good time if you like the setting of Japan, because there's so many games set in Japan coming out, and I think in terms of the open world samurai game, that is what Ghost of Tsushima is, and I think that will be one of its biggest strengths, is exploring the island of Tsushima, and because they could probably fit in that whole island, they'll probably be the whole thing.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
Yeah, so that's not this year. I think it's a good PS5 launch title, I would say.
I don't think it's likely at all. Like, I really think it's a PS5 launch title. It's like, it looked to me, it's like, nah, this doesn't seem achievable. Death Stranding does, this doesn't.
Seems probably doable on a Pro, but if, like, they're being bottlenecked by the lower consoles, they probably just wait. So there's one game, aside from this, that I'm also not too sure if it's coming out this year. Everyone seems to be hoping that The Last of Us Part 2 is, but I just think it's gonna be that again, like Tsushima, like that the bridge to the next generation, and it might be on PS4 and PS5, is what I think. Like it'll be.
I mean, it's like that game's a launch title. Like you can't get much better than that. Like pretty much one of the like best games of the generation of the PS3. It capped it off the end. Won so many goddamn awards, and then like Last of Us 2 to like if that started the PS5 like already like that's off to a massive start. I really feel like. That's probably what they're thinking. It's like, oh yeah, we have to. PS5 and Last of Us have to go together. We have to, especially with like Breath of the Wild, like all the positive response that game got. Like, they want that level as well. And I was like, we have it with Last of Us 2. We need to. This game will absolutely sell our next console for us.
Yeah. So, Jordan, what do you think about The Last of Us 2? Do you reckon this?
Well, I was
year,
just thinking, it's
or
almost
exactly as you
like
say?
that they accidentally announced all these games too early, which is why they're dropping out at E3.
It was on purpose.
Because they want to put it on the PlayStation 5, but they know it's not going to happen this year, so they'll do it next year when they have their big event or something.
The big event will be this year. Like, I think they'll announce it this year, the PS5's existence. Whether we'll see it or not, it's a story.
I'll be curious if The Last of Us 2 has multiplayer again, because surprisingly, the multiplayer in The Last of Us 1 was very enjoyable and entertaining. You had to like scavenge around to grab your stuff and fight. I know a lot of other people are more about the single player, but some good multiplayer with single player is always handy.
I feel like Naughty Dog's always been good at that too. Uncharted also had really good multiplayer. Like,
underrated.
Every time
multiplayers.
Naughty Dog, yeah, even like Crash Team Racing, like way back in the day, like I feel like Naughty Dog has actually always been good at making multiplayer things. It's just I feel like a lot of people, Uncharted is story, multiplayer that's another thing. Don't worry about, but it's still really good. Last of Us, same thing. Interesting that it's the most intriguing thing to you about. For me, it's like so much the story. Like, I want to see what happens.
The journey.
I'm just pretty much like, yep, they're gonna have the story nailed. Don't have to worry about that. That's the other stuff. Yep.
Yeah. It's just Uncharted 4 didn't have multiplayer, did it?
No, Uncharted 4 did. Yeah.
No, it did. No, see, that's how overlooked it is. I wasn't actually sure that it had it, and that's just like, I don't know. It's just weird that it is definitely like Uncharted is a story, Last of Us is a story, but there is those other modes. And I'm curious how good the multiplayer will be. Seeming like how good the animations look, how good this game looks, like how violent this game looks. You're gonna really horribly kill someone, some other player,
and then teabag them.
From mechanically,
just a fountain of blood.
Mechanically, the AI is what's impressed me the most. Like,
Definitely.
It blows me away how incredible it looks, where it's like you're scampering under cars and they're actively searching underneath them to find you, and there's full-on dialogue, like realistic human animations, like when you hit them, they react to it in the spots you hit them. It just looks ridiculous. I've never seen any other game to have that level of realism and just like intelligence in their NPCs.
Yeah, shoot them with a bow in the leg and they're like holding onto it like it's really hurt. That's like, I'm terrified of what the clickers are going to be like if the AI is that smart. Yeah, those things scared the shit out of me, and they're going to be even worse now.
It's interesting how secretive they're being about this. Like, they're really not showing them, and I'm like, it's interesting. Like, it's like, are we half going to be surprised and find out like that's gone? Like, have all the infected disappeared and there's like a new threat or something? Like, it's just interesting, like how secretive they are about Joel and how secretive they are about the infected. It's like, what are they hiding, or do they feel like they don't need to show that?
That's what I'm thinking.
The thing for me with The Last of Us 1, because I was going for that sweet platinum, was I was going through the game multiple times, and sometimes with those clickers you could just run past them no problem, or other times you'd sneak up right next to them, stay perfectly still, and it'd be fine. Is it going to be like that, or are they going to be like, I hear a slight little thing?
And in that game also, like Ellie, like she would just, or any AI component like ally you've got,
there's like
would
standing
not
out of the
them
open
off.
and you're like hiding in the corner.
And I would expect that I've obviously taken those critiques.
I hope
and
so.
Right, we have to drastically improve that, and I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, but 2019 it will not be.
No, I'm certainly not.
But like, it's just such a good looking game, and like, it's like you don't even have to worry about it because Naughty Dog have proven themselves again and again and again of like how good at making this kind of game they are. So it's like there's no risk to it. It's just it's going to be good, and that's a nice thing in a world where games come out and they could disappoint you. It could be an abomination like Fallout 76. Hey Jordan.
Hey, it's actually quite decent once you start playing it. Just because there's no NPCs doesn't mean there isn't stuff to do.
It looks dog shit. Anyway, maybe that's an idea for a video. Jordan defends Fallout 76. Anyway.
I'm sure people would get triggered.
Pew pew. Anyway, that's basically it for the video. Thank you guys for joining me once again, as always. Except Jordan.
Always happy
Jordan
to talk
hasn't been
soon.
here in a while, so welcome back.
No,
Jordan.
I haven't been in the last few times.
No, you haven't. And yeah, this video has been a new type of style of recording. We've done all of this live. There's skipped out on all the editing nonsense, and like hopefully this all worked out. And if you enjoyed watching it, you can like and subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter and go to the website optionalextra.net. I almost forgot our own website. Awkward. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
Get in the boat, boy. 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 This way, boy. Slow down, boy. We do what we please, boy.